Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree from On the Hot Podcast. Today, I have some bonus content for you guys. The bonus content we'll be covering today will be in the sport of football inside the college football world. In today's bonus segment, I'll be sharing my thoughts on which college football teams are in danger of missing the college football playoff. So I do have four teams that I do believe are in danger of missing the college football playoffs as the college football season continues to roll on. Starting off with team number one on my list, it's Alabama. I do believe that Alabama is in danger of missing the college football playoffs this year. Now, Alabama finds themselves at 6-2, and they're currently the 14th ranked team in the country today. Now, I feel like those losses against Vanderbilt and Tennessee are truly biting Alabama in the ass right now. And they're in a situation where they got to win out if they want to get in position to make the college football playoffs this year. I mean, to close out the season, Alabama's got to go on the road against LSU. They play a home game against Mercer. They got to go on the road against Oklahoma. And they have to go on the road against Auburn. That's 3 out of 4 games that you got to go on the road against SEC opponents. But I feel like in the next few weeks, that Alabama versus LSU game could determine who gets a spot or who jocks himself in position to get a spot. I think that Alabama and LSU game, with both teams being 6-2, that's basically an elimination game. The loser, I think, is completely out of contention to make the college football playoffs with only 12 teams that could get in this year. So I think Alabama's got to win out to get themselves in position. They cannot afford a loss from here on out. If they lose that game against LSU, I think it's over. But they got to go on the road, beat LSU. Hopefully they take care of business against Mercer. Go on the road, beat Oklahoma. Go on the road to beat Auburn. And I think Alabama could get a spot in the college football playoffs. But if they don't win out, they're in danger of missing the college football playoffs. Now let's set our attention out to the Big Ten. And this is a hot take here, but I think Ohio State is in danger of missing the college football playoffs this year. Now Ohio State does find themselves at 6-1. They are the 4th ranked team in the country today, but I feel like Ohio State's got to win 4 out of their 5 final games to get a spot in the college football playoffs. Again, that's a hot take, but Ohio State, they got to go on the road this weekend against Penn State. They got to play Purdue. They go on the road against Northwestern. You play a home game against a dangerous Indiana team, and you play it at home against Michigan. And these are not easy games to finish out for Ohio State. I mean, we know that game against Penn State should be one of the best games this weekend in college football. That's going to be a very hard game for Ohio State to win on the road, playing the 3rd-ranked team in Penn State in that whiteout environment and hostile territory. Indiana is no joke this year. They're one of the best stories in college football this year. They're undefeated. And we know their head coach, Ohio State's head coach, Ryan Day, kind of fades away in big-time games against ranked opponents. He has a suspect record of 18 wins and 9 victories against ranked opponents. But when he's playing non-ranked opponents, he looks like one of the best coaches in the country. But they can't sleep on Michigan either. I mean, Michigan is the reigning defending national champions. They don't look the same. But Michigan has had their number over the last few years. And you know they're going to play them hard to end the season. So Ohio State's, I think they got to win 4 out of 5 games to finish the season. And if they don't, and they drop to 2 out of 5 games, they're out of it. But I think the dream scenario for Ohio State, they win their next 4 out of 5 or possibly win 5 in a row. That would set you up in position to play Oregon, because Oregon has a favorable schedule, to play Oregon in a Big Ten championship rematch. Oregon is the only team that beat Ohio State this year, and that was a pretty close game a few weeks ago. And if it played out like that, if Ohio State beat Oregon in the Big Ten championship, they would possibly get a bye for the college football playoffs. That's their best dream scenario. But I do believe it's important for Ohio State to win 4 out of 5, or they could be out of the college football playoffs. Now, next team on my list, we're going to set our attention to the ACC, and I'm going to put my attention on the Clemson Tigers. I think they're in jeopardy of missing the college football playoffs. Now, they do find themselves at 6-1. They are currently the 11th best team in the country. And I give Dabo Swinney a lot of credit for how he's turned around this program this year. They're back to being a top 25 team. Last year, they were not living up to the hype and the standards. After that loss, that upset loss against Duke week 1 last year in the college football season, they didn't really play well for the remainder of the season. And Dabo Swinney, being a former national champion, has high standards year in and year out for this team. And they went 9-4 last year. So this is a big turnaround for this program, being a top 15 team once again. But I feel like Clemson is in danger of missing the college football playoffs because they got to win out. Definitely, they got to win out in order to get in. And when they play Pitt, they got to go on the road to play Pitt in the next few weeks. And I think that's an elimination game for either team. I think when Clemson plays Pitt, the loser of that game is going to be completely out of contention to make the college football playoffs, depending on how the picture and the landscape of college football plays out. I think that's going to be an elimination game. But if all goes well, I think the winner of Clemson versus Pitt will play the Miami Hurricanes in the ACC championship game. Cam Ward has this team playing at an elite level. This team, offense, defense, they find themselves as a top 10 team in the country. They got a favorable schedule to end the season. So I do believe that the winner of Clemson and Pitt is going to play the Miami Hurricanes in the ACC championship game. But Clemson has to win out for the remainder of the regular season in order to remain eligible to make the college football playoffs, in my opinion. Now, last but not least, we're going to move our attention to the Big 12 and talk about Colorado. I think Colorado is in jeopardy of missing the college football playoffs. Now, I got to give Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, and everybody on that team a lot of credit for changing the culture out there in Colorado. They're giving themselves a real chance to make the college football playoffs. Now, they can't mess this opportunity up. They are ranked. They are 23rd ranked in the country. We're starting to see the committee fall in love with them a little bit, but they can't mess up with this opportunity because they got a favorable schedule to end the season. I think one loss for Colorado completely shuts the door for them making the college football playoffs, but they got a legitimate chance right now. And they got a favorable schedule here. They play Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State to close out the season. Now, obviously, if you guys follow college football, that is a cupcake schedule. But I think Texas Tech being 5-5, I think that's their hardest game remaining on the schedule. Based off how the Big 12 could play out, if Colorado wins out, depending on what happens with BYU, BYU, Iowa State, and Kansas State in the next few weeks, if they get some help, Colorado could possibly find themselves in a Big 12 championship game, which is huge for their program, or everybody being a part of that. Deion Sanders, Shedeur, and Travis, for their second year being in the college football and the big leagues for their Division I. So I think that's huge. I really think that Colorado has a chance of making the playoffs if they win out. But those are the 4 teams I do believe are in jeopardy of missing the college football playoffs. That is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.